Hello, I am Mohsin Khan, and today we are here to discuss the issue of GST on vaccines, COVID, and life-saving drugs. Firstly, what is GST? Goods and Services Tax is an indirect tax used in India on the supply of goods and services. It is a comprehensive, multi-stage, destination-based tax. It has subsumed almost all the indirect taxes except a few state taxes. Goods and services are divided into 5 different slab rates for collection of tax, which are 5%, 12%, 18%, 28%, and 0%. But interestingly, petroleum products, alcoholic drinks, and electricity are not taxed under the GST and instead are taxed separately by the individual state governments. Talking about the issue of GST on COVID vaccine and life-saving drugs, I'm sure we all know what life-saving drugs are. During the second wave, there was high demand of these drugs. Remdesivir and tocilizumab are two drugs that were more popularly sold and were in short supply during the month of May and June when second wave was at peak. After drugs, there soon came demand to vaccinate the nation against the virus, which increased the demand for COVID-19 vaccines in India. Vaccines are life-saving drugs just like medicines, classified as goods under GST. The supply of vaccine for business purposes with consideration is taxable under Section 7 of CGST Act 2017. Currently, GST levied on COVID vaccines and life-saving drugs is 5% and 12% respectively for the domestic supply and commercial imports. But within the country, there is a growing demand to exempt vaccines and other significant resources from GST. Various NGOs and political leaders have been pitching for an exemption to protect the interest of ordinary citizens of the nation from a tax burden. During the second wave, 43rd GST Council meeting was held on 29th May 2021. There were significant recommendations that were implemented from this meeting, such as firstly, the tax rate on ventilators, medical grade oxygen, COVID-19 testing kits, oxygen concentrators, BMAP machines was reduced to 5% from 12%. Secondly, the GST on anticoagulants like heparin, high flow nasal cannula device, and pulse oximeters was reduced to 5% from 12%. Lastly, the GST on hand sanitizers and temperature check equipments was reduced to 5% from 18%. Recently, the 44th GST Council meeting under the chairmanship of Union Finance and Corporate Affairs Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman on 12th June 2021 held that 5% GST on vaccines will stay and that Centre will buy 75% vaccines as announced and will pay its GST too. But 70% of income from GST will be shared with states. It is also important to note that these GST rates are temporary and will be in effect till September 2021. In the month of April, a group of advocates moved to Supreme Court seeking a direction to the Centre and the Office of the GST Council Secretariat to exempt COVID-19 drugs and equipment from the GST regime with immediate effect in public interest. The petition filed by the Public Policy Advocates, represented by Advocate Astha Sharma, asked whether the GST authorities and government officials concerned were unable to see people run from pillar to post trying to procure drugs, oxygen equipments, and hospital beds to save their loved ones. The petition said the Centre is empowered under the public interest to exempt GST in accordance with Section 11 of the Central Goods and Services Act 2017. Section 6 of the Integrated Goods and Services Act 2017 and the corresponding equivalent sections in the state legislation governing the state's goods and services. In conclusion, Indeed, the government should relieve COVID vaccines and life-saving drugs from the ambit of GST, and if possible, subsidize the price of these drugs. But some experts believe that even if GST becomes nil on these resources, people will still be subjected to procure these medicines by way of black marketing, as was seen during the second COVID wave, where drugs such as remdesivir was being sold for as high as 50,000 in black. Apart from reducing the GST, the government needs to curb black marketing and hoarding of these medicines so that the benefit of its new GST policy can be practically implemented.